The Midday Show Live is a program that has been carefully drafted to educate and also to entertain you on the happenings happening in various parts of the country or the globe. And, especially the midday activities that lots of nations or even capitals or local government get involved in within the midday. I am Stella Elisha Dashom, and I have, as usual, my gorgeous, beautiful, ever-loving sister, Linda Phillips. Linda.
Good afternoon, Sally.
When I'm hyping you, I need you to be on that same level of energy.
Please, I'm excited.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you doing? How is the day going?
Doing very well. I'm beautiful.
Happy new month.
Same to you, Stella. Yeah, it's actually a beautiful month.
Very, very beautiful month, So we're ready to, set out lots of productivity, lots of bringing out positive fruits,
Of course.
So we really need to be on that same level.
Of course, we're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my beautiful and wonderful viewers, we are live on Facebook and also on YouTube. So I would really appreciate if you actually watch and also drop your comment or what you feel about the nation or the country we'll be visiting today. And let me just, bust your bubble. Actually, the country we're visiting from our time, you actually know we are coming back home.
Course.
I mean, we've been visiting other nations, we've been going to other places. So we felt, let's come back home and, celebrate our own country. It's good to be an African. I'm proud to be.
Yeah,
This
I
color,
am too as well. That is beautiful.
Yeah. So today on the show, we shall be visiting Malawi. Yes, a country in southeastern Africa. It's a country that is being known to be the warm heart of Africa because immediately you visit Malawi, the people are loving, smiling, welcoming. You just, you feel at home. And the atmosphere, the weather, it's so great, especially when you look at Lake Malawi, which is part of, looking at, it's like a symbol.
Yeah.
Because if you look at their flag, Linda, like looking at their flag, they have black, green and red. And we know, like, when you look at the flag, the topmost, you see the setting sun.
Yeah.
And I think they said where the name Malawi, that I think they said the meaning of it is fire flames or the flaming water. Because of the setting sun, there's a way to reflect on Lake Malawi, and then it actually, bring out like fire. And, actually, when I was looking at the flag and what it symbolizes, like it actually, brought lots of memories back. They said black actually represents our color, which is African. And actually red represent the martyrs, looking at those who actually struggle for independence for those in Malawi. It was really a struggle from the British government down for them to actually be independent on their own. And then the green actually, they say it actually stands for, their inheritance. When you look at the green nature and everywhere, just like here in Nigeria, we actually have, also the green when it comes to what we stand for. And it's really a very green and a wonderful country. Like Malawi is beautiful. Malawi is great. Like there are lots of, when we look at nature, when you look at the people, because they are welcoming.
They're welcoming, they're beautiful, they're peaceful, they're friendly. So why would you want to go to such a place? And then they're actually safe over there. Like when you say you want to visit maybe an African country and then you visit Malawi, you're in a safe place. And as much as sometimes they'll tell you need to take precautions about maybe where you go to and then things you do and the time you stay out. But then Malawi is a very beautiful place, and then the people are friendly. So when you go there, you know that whatever it is you're doing there, you're safe. Whatever it is you're doing there. So people, even if visitors go there, tourists go there, and then once they meet you, the first instance, and then they say hi to you, they act as if they've known you before, like they've seen you, like they already know, okay, fine, I've seen this person before. But then they don't act like you're a stranger. That's one beautiful thing about Malawians. Like they know that once you come there, they can just welcome you at any point in time.
Yeah, it's a great place, While I was actually reading, like, I kind of put myself, like, it makes me feel like I'm already there. It's a sister country, and I think it would be a great thing. I mean, one day just take a, maybe a vacation or possibly just to get to see more, discover about the people, their history, what they stand for, certain things about them, what do we need to do, Even though when we are looking at their, before I go far, we need to let people know that the official language in Malawi is English, actually, when you go there, even though they have the national language, which they call it the Chichawa.
Chichawa.
You know, that is their national language. And I love it, the fact that they tend, even though they were being colonized by the British, they tend to maintain their national language. Like, this our mother tongue should not
so
depart from us. It's really something that when people come in, they should know that you're proud to be an African, and they should know that everything we stand for, we won't just do away with our culture, our heritage, because we bring in, or we have taken in or adopted a new system. And looking at their population, there are over 21 million people actually living in Malawi, even though back 2020 there are about 19 million. But then, like, looking at things, people give birth and lots of things like that, so there are about over 21 million people. And even though we're going to, like, the country, just like we said, it has lots of most of the people, they depend on, let's say, agriculture, and that's why we're so emphasizing on the fact that that country has so much of nature. Like, when you just take a look at, there are so many, like, if you're looking for elephants, you see them plenty. You're looking for hippopotamus, like, people who love the wildlife a lot, you tend to see lots of that in that country. Like, it's really something. And looking at, they have a very rich culture. Looking at heritage, wow, very great and beautiful culture. That is what Africans are known for, and that is what Malawi is also known for. They have a very, very rich and beautiful culture. Yes, smile it like you have something to, you know.
When you're talking about Malawi, like, when I was going through the things they do there and all of that, like, when you love nature, when you see nature, you see beautiful things, you see a lot of things that will attract you. So that, for me, I love nature, actually. So then, when you sit down, then you see mountains, and then you just want to go hiking, you want to go to just relax there. So, like, when we're talking about Malawi, like, I just smile, because in as much as they're over 21 million over there, but then they're friendly. So that when you find yourself there, you are safe. When you find yourself there, you have a lot of places to visit. In as much as we're going to tell our viewers some particular places to visit and have fun and all of that. But then Malawi is actually a place where you will want to go, even if you don't know anyone there. But then when you go there, you know that you will be treated well, you know that you'll be shown places, you know that you experience a lot of things. There are a lot of things to do over there in Malawi. So when you find yourself there, you know that you're going to do something. You know that you're not just going to sit at home without anywhere to go to, because they have a lot of things to do. You can just sit down and say, okay, you want to go to this particular place, or maybe someone should take you hiking, or you go and hike and then do other things you want to do there. When someone will tell you, maybe when you just see someone for the first time, because they are friendly people, once someone sees you for the first time, at least you know that you can ask for information and then they give to you. Unlike some other places that you cannot even ask someone something, or maybe you say you want to go somewhere, maybe you ask for directions and then they tell you they don't know, or they just look at you and be like, who is this one talking to? Like, he's not even our type, or maybe he's not even in this country. So, like, when you talk about Malawi, you know that they are peaceful people, they are friendly people, they are loving people. So you can go there at any time. So then when you're talking about them, you say, okay, their population, they said they have the Lake of the Stars. Like, that place, like, the beauty alone will actually want to attract you. And then to think of saying that they are the first people, the Malawians are the first people in the country, in Africa, to grow tea on commercial scales. Like, it's something interesting to know.
Very.
Like, to know that they're actually the first in Africa. Like, it's so interesting. Like, it's something for you to just think about, like, to just say, okay, fine. There are people that love tea. There's someone that can stay, that cannot stay for a whole day without tea. You understand? So, like, when you hear this thing, you just want to tell yourself, I think I need to visit that place because I want to just take
lots of tea. I know, even part of, when we're going to look at part of what they went through, because just like every other country in Africa, or most countries in Africa, they went through, just like we said earlier in the program, they actually went through independence, because they've been colonized by the British, even though they had contact with other nations. And one thing that actually stands out for me is the fact that they welcome Christianity very early. Well. I mean, I think from the data I have here, it said the Christianity was introduced in 1860s by David Livingstone. So you can actually tell that they actually had founding fathers that make sure that they are not void of the gospel, that regardless of what they stand for, they actually have someone they can turn back if they're going through pain of maybe the white masters that they were serving under. So it's really something that really applaud the fact that we welcome welcome Christianity, and just like every other, nation, they also celebrate lots of events like the Christmas, the New Year, the Easter. They have other events, and how the fact that they were welcoming, just like you said, they are welcoming. So they actually welcome Christianity. And even after the death of David Livingstone, there were other, missionaries, Roman Catholics, and other, religious, beliefs that came in and actually introduced them to Christ, and they actually happily accepted, accepted, even though there's still other parts of the nation that is yet to be conquered. But that's why we have the Midday show. We are hoping that through this we can conquer other parts for Christ through the Midday show. In as much as we want people to visit there, in as much as we want people to have fun, in as much as we want people to see what can they do during their midday, but it's important that you don't take Christ out of it. And that's why I want to conquer every part of Africa. We start from home, from Africa, we conquer the entire world for Christ. It's really something. And I would like us to actually look at the economy, because we, just like you brought in the issue of they're the first nation to export tea. I know we said earlier that most of, they depend so much on agriculture in that country. About 80% of their GDP, they really rely there. And maybe that's why they don't earn so much. Like looking at, even they're still there, they're developing country. They're developing country. They're yet to actually get there. But I think they are striving very hard, because one of the things that stood out for me was one of the president they had, I think, that stepped down in 2013. That's Joyce Banda. Some of the steps she took in to see that she actually lifted Malawi from where it is. She took a very great step, which is selling the presidential jet. She also said she was going to cut down 30% of her salary. She went further and said she's going to sell 35 Mercedes-Benz that belong to her cabinet, and also other means to see that she lifts Malawi, that their economy, they can also, even though they are not yet there, but they're getting there. It's really a great step that she took while she was the president. I know she's been ranked as one of the most powerful women. When you look at the world, I think according to history, she's the second head of state after Queen Elizabeth. So you can actually tell that she tried her best to see that.
That's actually something that some should take as an example for them to actually look forward to doing. Sometimes like when you see someone doing, so you need to tell yourself, you need to challenge yourself in doing that thing. Like maybe the person doesn't have two heads to do that thing. The person it's just the heart. You're willing to do that thing. So then you should do it. Like, for her to take it to that extent, it means she has the country at heart. So then other countries should take that as an example, should challenge themselves and say they can do this as well. They can actually take their country to the next level. They can actually build it. We don't just sit in one place. We try to build ourselves. You don't just say, okay, you're just going to sit in one place and to do one thing. But then for her to sacrifice all these things because she just wants to see her country go to the next level, then it's something that is applaudable, something that you should actually be proud of to say. And then even when you should be privileged to know all these things, so you can actually tell yourself that you can actually do that.
She didn't look at she didn't look at the challenges they're facing in that nation, because just like every struggling nation, they also have what they're struggling with, but they don't tend to dwell so much on it, because even though according to history they're the fourth poorest country in the world, yet about 80% of the population are living in the rural areas. So actually showing that they are trying their best to see. Very few people actually live in the urban area because of how expensive it is to live there, and the fact that they don't have so much. So most of those who live in the rural areas are those that actually support the government, because if you depend so much on agriculture, who are the people that are working? Definitely those in the rural area. So, and that is why they are trying their best so that they fight other vices such as HIV and AIDS, or that even the COVID actually really just like it shook any other country to do it. Really, the COVID really shake that country, but we're just like every other nation, they're trying to, be on their feet. And I don't know, Linda, if you'd like to take us through their agriculture.
Talking about all these things, and then you see that Malawi, they are actually, since they depend so much on their agriculture, and then now that is what is actually supporting them. 80% of that's big. So then it means it's actually giving them what they want. It's actually providing, it's actually supplying all the kind of things they want. They said Malawians here, they said the country country relies heavily on tea, relies heavily on sugarcane and coffee. He said with these three plus tobacco making, he said up more than 90% of Malawi's export revenue. Tea was first introduced in 1878, and then most of it known in the Mulanjan and Antiolo. He said other crops include cotton, corn, potatoes, the sorghum, cattle and goats. Tobacco and sugar processing are notable secondary industries. Like when they depend on all these things, they know that it's going to provide for them, it's going to supply them what they want. That is why they so much depend on it. You know, for them to actually be the first really to invent tea and all of that, they know it was going to do a lot of things for them. And then they said here that the traditional in Malawi has been self-sufficient in its stable food. He said maize here, which is corn, and then during the 1980s exported substantial quantities to its drought-stricken neighbors. Good. Like more like they actually share it, they actually invest on others neighbors, like maybe side countries close to them, like just to build themselves up. You know, like it's more like if you're developing yourself, you don't need to do that alone, because you know when you look at other people around you, you tend to say, okay, we're actually getting richer, we're doing all these things, at least let's bring other people to us. It's more like you're marketing your stuffs to them, then they help you to sell, and then you still get income again, since they depend so much on their agriculture. And then that thing is actually bringing a lot for them. They have beans over there, they have rice, cassava, tobacco, granules, and then all of that. So financial wealth is generally concentrated in the hands of a small elite. He said Malawi's manufacturing industry are situated around the city of Blantyre. Like they do all of that just to build themselves. So it's more like when you want to do something for yourself, you apply that to yourself. Like, okay, you want to do this thing, will it profit me? Is it going to be profitable? Okay, if it's going to be, who can I bring into this thing? So that is what Malawi is doing to themselves. In as much as they have so much interest in their agriculture, they put the most of their time in it, and then it gives them what they want. So more like, if you know what is going to give you what you want, then you need to build in yourself. You need to put your time, invest your time, challenge yourself and tell yourself you can do this thing, and then you realize you're doing it like speedily, and then you progress and all of that. So for them to depend so much on agriculture, then is something good for them.
Yeah, you know, still looking at agriculture, even though most of what we mentioned is based on their plants, but they also have because from here it's been shown like the Malawi lake has the highest number of like say fish, just like any other part in the country. I think they said it's like the fourth largest lake in the world, you know, and so you could actually tell like quite a number of fishes that are in that lake. And actually it's another thing for them, you know, to depend on, you know, being a nation that is still developing. I think it's really something that the Malawi should also, you know, consider, because I think there are other nations that are seeing what they can do with all the fishes, you know, looking at oil, you can sap out of it, you know, another thing. So I think it's another thing. Well, it's still under the agriculture, so we believe that the Malawian government will actually, consider what they can do about that number of fishes that are in their rivers, you know. And they're still looking at so much about it. Let's take a look at the political context of Malawi. I mean, they say Malawi is generally a peaceful country. At least established that from the very beginning. It's a very peaceful and loving country. And they said, like, since independence, it has been enjoying, you know, stable government. Like, they try as much as possible to make sure we don't hear stories of anyone trying to overthrow the present government, even though they have multi-parties, so people tend to have choices of who they elect into office, who stays there, and then to make sure that you have good impact actually, you impact the country in a very positive way. I think it's really something I admire the you know, Malawi for knowing the fact that they've established a very peaceful and loving like I said, they've been stable. I think that's the word. It's been stable since independence. So I think it's really something, the Malawi. And they said Malawi's sixth election was conducted in May 2019, even though another rerun was done in 2020. That's why they have the present president, which is I think President Charles. I think that's his name. So Lazarus Chiwari. And they said he actually emerged as the president from the Malawi Congress Party. For those actually interested in the political atmosphere of what happened in Malawi, I think it's really something for you to actually take a look at, like say from one government to another, who was able to, you know, because we know that Joyce was the last president before the president, Lazarus actually took over office. But just like she handed over to him to make sure that they still maintain where they can grow not just to depend on being the fourth poorest country in the world, but also to see how they can also compete, and become stable. It's really something I love about the government of Malawi.
Yeah, that to actually add up to that, when you know that you have passion for something, when you know you love something, you should actually put in your best. And then for her to actually hand over to him, and then which means he emerged as the winner, and then he accepted that, and then they're still stable since when they got independence, and then they're still doing what is right. They're still enjoying what they are enjoying. Like, for them to still be like, they're growing gradually. So it's more like he's not just sitting down doing nothing. He's just there doing his best as well. In as much as maybe he's not doing well the way she did, or maybe sacrificed a lot, but then he's still trying to bring the country up to a level where it's going to take them somewhere, at least with the interest of the country he has at heart, that he can actually do all of that and even do more than what she did. It's more like she was setting a pace for him, and then she did, and then he should do more than that for the people, for the citizens to actually see and know that, okay, there's something happening over here, so we need to cooperate with them for them to be peaceful and friendly. It's more like they're actually cooperating with their government, and then they've been stable for a long time. That was like since 1984 or that, and then they're still doing well. They're still growing gradually. They're still doing what is right. For you to actually be in a stable country for this long, then you should know that they're truly peaceful.
Exactly, they're truly peaceful, and that will take us down to, let's take a look at their educational level, because I know education is very, very vital. It's the bedrock of any nation. They said primary education, which begins at age 6 and lasts for 8 years, is compulsory.
Yeah,
I love the fact that they made it compulsory, because there are people that actually wouldn't love to go to school, and looking at the fact that they are trying to build themselves to also have a place to stand with other nations. I think it's really a great step that education is made compulsory in that country. And just like we said here, it's like for 8 years, so you start from age 6 down to possibly maybe when you round up at a lower level, that's possibly at grade 6, or it's really something that they made it so great. And it's a secondary education made up of 2 cycles for 2 years each, begins at age 14.
Yeah.
So that means you're expected to be, unlike other here where I think it's at age 12 or 13, 12, you should be in secondary school. But here at most age 14, you should be in secondary school. And they said primary education was made free in 1994, leading to a considerable increase in the already high student-teacher ratio, and underscoring growing need for the expansion of post-primary education. What really touched my heart is the fact that, looking at the fact that most of the people there are teachers. Yeah. So the government is trying to say, how can we improve the standard of living for our teachers, because they're investing so much. All these occupations we're having is as a result of the teachers who take their time to teach, so that this student can become someone great, can become some people of great caliber. They can actually rub shoulders with other people. And it's really something I admire, the fact that education is made compulsory, and the fact that they're trying to look at the welfare of their teachers, because teachers are key. They are like the ones that actually shine the lamp for the students. And it's really something I really admire the Malawi government.
Yeah, of course. For you to say education is key, because if you can't tell me that there are a lot, although there are so many people that can tell you they can do this thing without even going to school, but then it's not possible, because there's a way you speak, there's a way you do your thing, and then people will actually see and know you went through school. So then for them to make education compulsory, then it shows that education is key to everything that you're going to do. So then they had to make that thing, and then people actually abide by that, and then they send their children to school, and then for the teachers to be lovely, to actually teach them with love and then understanding. There are students that are actually difficult. Like they want to stress you, they want to make you feel like you're not doing your best, but then they're still loving over there. They still teach them, they still take them on the right track. Like they don't just leave them and be like, okay, maybe they're tired, and then you just leave them, or maybe they just tell them, okay, since you cannot do it, just go home and stuff like that. But then they take them gradually, because when you train a child gradually, that is actually that stage of a child growing up from that age 6 to 14 is actually something that they feel they can ask too many questions, they can say a lot of things, they can imitate you, they can actually mimic you and do all sorts of things like that. But then for the teachers there to be loving and understanding, and then they made education compulsory. So it's more like you can actually sit there and then you understand what they're teaching you, you see what you're doing, and then you're actually you're enjoying it. You cannot just sit in an environment that you don't like. If you want to go to school, you know that you're looking forward to your teacher that is actually teaching you something you understand very well. Or even when you don't understand, you ask questions, they explain to you, and then you tend to be like, okay, I want to go there again. Then you realize you have interest in it. You realize you're putting yourself in doing it. So education over there in Malawi is compulsory. So even if for visitors, for tourists who want to go there, maybe to stay, or maybe some who want to relocate over there, you should just know that when you go there, your children should definitely go to school because it is compulsory.
Definitely, and I love it, the fact that they also have vocational, skills that they also help people, such as carpentry, motor, mechanics, welding, painting. So I think it's an added knowledge that even maybe while on vacation, you can actually get added skills, because we are actually in an era whereby it's not just about the certificate that you actually got from formal learning, but the informal learning is very key to see how you can also contribute to nation building. It's really something we need, because these are people we need on a daily basis. So you can actually tell that you can't do without the carpenter, you can't do without the mechanics, your cars and all that. So I love the fact that they have other vocational, training centers where they help, the student and also youth that are coming up, maybe while you're waiting for admission into the university, because it's needed that you have good grades for you to get admission into the university. But possibly maybe at first that you'd actually get your papers on one sitting. While you're waiting to write, it's something you use that period of time to learn something. So I think it's an added advantage to people who actually find themselves around there. You could just learn one or two skills. You never can know what will bring food to your table one day. So it's really something I think we should depend on so much.
Yeah, of course. We should truly depend on all those things. When you learn something, it's more like it's in you already. It's a skill you're learning, and then it's something you're going to work with. So even if you go to work, even if you're working with your certificate, you can actually do that as a side hustle, because you do that. You can't just say you're depending only on your certificate and then you go. What if you don't get that job again, or what if you lose the job and then you don't have anything to do again? So far as you have all those things, that's actually a privilege for Malawians over there, and even for people who go there to visit. You can just use that opportunity to just learn something. More like you can learn mechanic, and then tomorrow you can see someone on the way, and then maybe he's stranded, and then you can want to fix his car, and then he ends up giving you money. You realize, okay, fine, at least I did something myself, and then it's from my head. It's not like it's something you learn. So it's a privilege for people over there to seize that as an opportunity for you to do that, so that you can actually build yourself more. Talking about all these things, we go over to their daily life and social customs. Malawians are actually beautiful people. They're friendly and they love God as well. So like when we're talking about the many Malawians, they said they observe holidays celebrated by Christian societies throughout the world. Said including the Easter and Christmas. Holidays celebrated by the Muslim communities as well. He said in addition to this, he said other holidays included the John Chilemkwe, which communities as well. He said in addition to communities day on 15th January. He said in honor of the missionary who was a forerunner of Malawian nationalism. He said here as well again, they said they have those of them who lost their lives over in 1959 uprising against the British colonial administration. Freedom Day is actually June 14th in honor of the many Malawians who struggled for country's transition on a multi-party democracy during the early 1990s. So Republic Day on January 6th, and then commemorating Malawian independence. Have the Christians who celebrate Easter and Christmas, and then which is something they always look forward to. And even the Muslims were given an opportunity to actually celebrate their own day as well. Like no one is left out. Like in anything they're going to do, they have holidays, they have things to do. They don't just sit there. They have other days like Mother's Day, which is celebrated in October, their independence, which is in May. And they said they have a lot of things, their public day. All of that, they celebrate all of this. Like they take note of all these dates and then they celebrate them. So like Malawians actually have a lot of all of these things, and then they do all these things just for the peace sake, just for the fun, and then all of that. You know that you're expecting something. You know you're going to celebrate Easter. You know you're going to celebrate Christmas, and for the Muslims they're going to celebrate something as well. So it's more like no one is left out.
Yeah, still on their cultural, like their cultural and social custom. They said dance is an important part of Malawi's culture. Like you can't take dance out of
it away from them.
Like the way they celebrate their their heritage, the way they celebrate their culture is by dancing. So so when you go to any, and they mostly use the dance either for initiation or even in their ceremonies, whether it's in weddings or any ceremony they have, dance is a very important like part of their culture. You can't take dance out of Malawians and say that they're actually in Malawi. Dance is a very, very important.
So if you're going to Malawi,
for visitors that are planning to go there, be ready to shake your body, because in Africa we have this rigorous way of shaking. You shake our body. Fats, we dance well, and actually that's something you see when you go to Malawi, especially when you visit during their, maybe they're having some traditional maybe celebrations. You tend to see lots of dancers in colorful and beautiful attire. The colors that's actually
attractive.
Very attractive. Africans, we are beautiful.
We are beautiful, and then we have colors. So what do you expect?
We love colors, so definitely something you will see when you find yourself in Malawi. And another beautiful thing here is that I'm still under their culture, because we can't take away artifacts, because they're still part of the way we celebrate culture here in Africa. When you come, you tend to see certain artifacts of certain cultures, certain tribes to tell you that this is what possibly before the coming of Christ, this is what they believed in, and so they tend to show the coming generation, this is what we used to believe in, but right now we've accepted Christ. This was an artifact that was found back then in 2,000 years ago. We have to keep this to show that truly this is our roots. These are things that kind of the way we do in Africa, we have this storytelling culture. So you tend to tell lots of stories. You see lots of artifacts, especially when you visit the museums there. Like part of the midday activity you find yourself doing when you visit maybe all this national museum there in Malawi, you tend to see great and beautiful artifacts to actually remind you that we are Africans, and you can't take that out of us. I know people laying emphasis on that.
Africans, you're proudly an African. So you should say it anytime. You should be proud of it. Like you can't say you're an African and then you're not proud of being an African. Black is beautiful.
Very beautiful. In case you don't know, it's very, very beautiful. I know you look at that. We said that various traditional arts and crafts, including sculpture in wood, form part of Malawi's material and aesthetics culture. A variety of musical form, both local and international, and I actually list the fact that they love dance. So when there is dance, there's music.
There's music,
definitely,
of course.
The two go hand in hand.
You can't be dancing. They can't say you're a madman. So you can't be dancing and then there's no music. So definitely.
Music is a very, very important part. And I say one of the most distinctive features of Malawian culture is a variety of traditional songs and dances that feature the drum as the major musical instrument. And then among the most notable of these dancers are the Igoma, the Gulewa Mungulu, performed by men. And then we also have that is performed by the women, which is the Chimtali. But from hearing the names, that it's actually African names, so you can actually relate when you find yourself in Malawi. You find lots of, dances, whether you're a male or a female, where you can actually, fit in, learn one or two dances. When you come back to your own country,
come and teach other people.
You teach people. There's this beauty, in blending what you know,
of course,
and adding added knowledge. So it's really, really something that I really, admire about the people in Malawi, because they have love for music, art, storytelling, sculptures. You find it in various museums, just like I actually stated earlier. So for our listeners and our viewers, when you find yourself in Malawi, please just do well to visit a museum. You won't regret actually visiting any of this, because Africans, we have lots of beautiful artifacts that you love to even buy.
Of course,
it's something to buy, and take to your library or even your museum to say, I got this from the Malawi, while my visit over there, and something you can keep to remember. So I think it's really something to reckon with.
We're talking about Malawi, and then all the things they do over there, and then all the fun parts and all of that, the museums and all of that. That when you visit that place, you can't say you're not going to the museum. Even if you don't go to the museum, you still have somewhere to go to. And then so they have their sports and recreation over there as well. You can't take away sports again from them, or maybe from any country. Of course, there are people who love sports, and then people who want to do all sorts of things. Most people in the rural Malawi spend their time attending to their farms, and then they said when they are not not doing so, which is usually in the dry months, they may visit their friends or go to local school football, soccer matches, and then often played on weekends on rough and uneven grounds. In many areas, men play bao, similar to checkers, and then the dance competitions, the petty teams from different areas against one another are also popular in rural Malawi. Football, boxing, netball, cinema, and theater acts play a major role in the leisure time of urban Malawians. They actually have time for fun. Like, you cannot say you can just sit down and then don't do anything, or maybe you're bored at home. You have somewhere to go to. Either you're visiting a friend, or you're going to the cinema, or maybe you're going to the farm. Of course, since they depend so much on agriculture, of course they have time to go to the farm. They have time to go and grow all these plants that they want to make use of. Either they eat it or they sell it, and then they actually do all these things just to get their income back. So you see, when they visit all these things, they said they can even go there, they can play football, they can, that's when they have dry lands and then all of that. So then they take that as something that is very important to them. And then here they said the national football squads frequently compete in matches in neighboring countries, but because of shortage of travel funds, said they seldom venture far. In September 1999, the government awarded the Malawi Council of Sports a sizable grant to improve the country's sporting infrastructure and allow Malawian teams to travel abroad more regularly. At least is something to encourage them with, to travel out of their own country to go and play football. You know, it is something like you feel excited when you know that you're going out of your own country to go and play football, or maybe to even do something. Like, it's something that you need to just be excited about. And then for lovers of football, they know that yes, they're being supported to go and do all this. Even as much as they said there was a time that they were unable to travel out, but right now they can actually do that. So it sure means that they're actually growing every day. It's not something that you say, okay, they're still stagnant, but then they're moving ahead, they're growing, they're improving, and then so that is how they're growing, like they're moving from one stage to the other. So they play their football even within themselves, or maybe outside the country, to play with other countries just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I really love the fact that they have time for work and they have time for play, like you rightly stated, like especially when it's the dry months, possibly already harvest, and before you wait for the rains to come, you know, you have something, you get yourself involved, just, you know, relax, you know, be creative and know what can we do. Is it the netball? Is it the football? Whatever you do, it's something that when you find yourself doing, especially during the midday, you know, what can you do to, you know, just relax the stress? Because since, just like you said, it depends so much on agriculture. So you can actually tell that if they, on agriculture, if they actually depend on agriculture so much, which is about, they said 80% of Malawians live in the rural areas because they need the human strength. You know, they need workers to work because that is what they depend on as a nation. But, you know, having, you know, sports and also having recreation really is something that we should really reckon with, and see other parts of the nation can also really see that, okay, when you go to Malawi, it's not just about farm all through. There's something you actually do too, really. And we also want to look at their media, because just like other nations, they have a way of sending information and also receiving information. And they said the state-owned Malawi Broadcasting Corporation is a major radio casting in the country. Until 1994, programs were broadcasted only in Chiwa and in English. Programs have since been made available in additional languages, because it's not just the Chiwa and the English that they have. There are other other cultures and other languages, so they tend to see how can we also broadcast in that language. And you could even tell from some of the newspapers that they have, like in the nation, they try to see how they can write this in either English or in all these minor languages in the country, so that other people that are not English-speaking people can actually be able to read the papers and know the information, know what is happening in the nation. So it's really something that the government has a way of making people they can actually air their views, or like other nations that you don't have the right to air your views, but they actually have a way to air their views if they are not happy with what is happening, or the government has a way of relating to people. They have their media houses, they have their publishing houses, they have lots of papers that you can actually take time, while still part of your recreation and also educating and enlightening yourself, read one or two of these papers and enlighten yourself, educate yourself on what is happening in the nation, what can we do. And it's really something I like the fact that they have time to, or the government saw it's important, just like every other nation that saw the importance of having a media station or having broadcasting various newspapers that people can actually read and know what is happening in the country.
Yeah, it's actually something to be excited about. You can't just say you're over there and then you don't understand what they're saying. So far as they've made it possible for other people, not just English and the Chiwa people who listen to that and then who can actually speak in English and Chiwa, but then they have other languages over there like that, that you can actually hear what they are saying, you can express yourself, you can say all sorts of things, you can be excited about everything you're doing over there. And then they say here that there are also a number of commercial radio stations in operation. So it's not just the TV stations that they have over there, some which are operated by the country's various religious organizations, which is very interesting. Like, it's not just like just one thing that they're doing over there, but then religion as well. They didn't leave that out of them. It's more like they have a time for a particular news, maybe for education, their particular news for media, their education and all of these, maybe their agriculture, Christianity, religion and all of that. So they know that it is actually working for them over there. He said the first television, he said it was established, it started operating in 1999. Okay, and then he said initially in Blantyre and Lilongwe, he said until that time, only those with satellite dishes can actually access to that. But then at least right now, they actually access to all those things. Like they can actually listen to either radio or watch the TV and all of that like that. And even read in the papers, which is actually something good. Like they're still growing up. It's a developing country, so what do you expect? But then they're still doing all these things and then just to get their people together. That is why they are still together. They are not being like, okay, I'm not supposed to be here or I need to run away from this place. In as much as they are leaving their countries to go and do all sorts of things in other countries, but still they still love each other. They still welcome other people to that place. So like when you talk about what they do over there, they have a lot of things they're doing over there, and then that brings us actually to the places to visit in Malawi.
I know you love, you actually love having tour, either going biking or visiting lots of areas. Actually, I can actually tell from the smell. But before we go to all those beautiful and wonderful places you would like to tell us about, we'd like to take a break, and when we come back, we'll possibly look at our Facebook if we have some comments from anyone that felt I really want to visit Malawi. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll read the comments, and also tell you lots of beautiful places you can visit in Malawi. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, it's still the Midday Show live on Echo Television, and we have been taking a visit to the warming heart of Africa, Malawi, the flaming waters. Yes, from the the rising of the sun to the setting of the sun, and the way it reflects on the Lake Malawi, and that is where they actually got the name Malawi, because it has this fire, look on the Lake Malawi. And I am Sela Elisha Dasham, and Linda Philip has been the lovely sister she has always been, and we've been doing this together. Of course. Yeah. So before we went on the break, we were talking about how Malawi is and all of that. So now we're going to go to the countries, to places to visit in Malawi. So in case you find yourself in Malawi, maybe you should listen to this very well, because you find yourself in one of these places and then you should have fun. And then the first place here, we have the Luandi National Park. And then here is telling us that the most accomplished wildlife spotting and safari area in all of Malawi makes its home along the courses of the Shui River.
River. He said a vast reserve of flowed plains and wetland swamps. He said of swaying grass fields and bamboo groves. And there is a picture of the beautiful back country of East Africa. A smattering of good holidaying lodges offers easy access to the park, where walking and motorized safaris showcase everything from bush elephants to side strip jackals, hyena parks of impalas, water bugs, baboons, and more. There's also a great diversity of flora to witness, from huge and wazy orchids to pretty lily-spotted ponds. It's actually a beautiful part. Like when you're talking about orchids, you know that there's actually something to do over there. There's something you should sit there to watch, like the cool breeze over there, the things you see over there, the things like when you sit down there, you know you can actually do a lot of things over there. You see, it's more like a park, a national park, where you see all these animals that you want. Maybe you can say you've not seen it before, or it's been a while you saw it, so you can just find yourself there in that place. They say here is the Luandi National Park, so definitely is a park, so you know there are a lot of things over there to see.
Yeah, one thing I love as a father, there are lots of elephants. I actually love elephants.
Really?
Yeah, because there's this fact about them that they while walking, they walk very quiet, like that of the cats,
Okay.
and they have actually great mammals, so possibly maybe that's why I love the elephant so much. And it's actually something that when you find yourself there, if you don't love elephant like I do, there are other very beautiful animals you can see there, just like you listed. We have the hyenas, the jackals, those ones that laugh without reasons, the baboons. It's really there are lots of wildlife around there you could actually see and admire and actually take pictures of them too.
Of course, so
actually as an evidence that I actually took a trip to Africa and Malawi precisely. Yeah, so you get to see all these beautiful places when you find yourself in Luandi National Park. And another place I would like us to actually look at is the Kazuku National Park. I think I love the park so much. They said the Kazuku National Park is one of the East Africa more off the beaten track nature reserve. It comprises a whopping 2,100 kilometers of land where the rolling waters of the western Malawi is. When it comes to water, like you see, there's this flowing water when you around there. And that's something Malawi, even though they don't have so much contact with water sites, but then they do have big water bodies around there. I think it's one of the things you find in the national park there. And just like every other national park there, they also have lots of savanna and other animals that when you find yourself around Malawi, you actually maybe take a trip to one of these national parks and feed your eyes with lots of things, maybe diving. For those that love diving, you can actually dive in one of those lakes there, or take a boat trip, just to see the country. It's not a very, very big country like that, so but there are lots of nature that you will really, really love. For people, especially creative mind like us that love thinking, maybe an idea can just pop up, and you just pitch something out and you decide it. So I think it's really something that when you find yourself there, even not just for for fun, but just for to make your mind to be alert, to be creative. It's one of the things you should do. Visit one of these national parks. Very beautiful.
Yeah, Malawi has a lot of national parks over there. They have so many things they do over there for you to visit and know of that. And then he said one of the places over there, they have the Karunga. He said it's crowded by the dusty mountains of the Malawian north and the clutching to the far-flung edge of Great Lake Malawi, just a short jaunt from the Tanzania border. He said here that the welcoming little town of Karunga is a great place to spend a night or two in this less visited corner of the nation. Expert banks, good bus connections, and a clutch of early little guest houses. All you will need to stock up before moving on. Then there are the fossils, and then which are perhaps Karunga's single most impressive camp to fame. They said this come in the form of huge Malawian Saurus remains knock-locking in the exhibition rooms of the local culture and museum center. Like when you know that, of course, when you go to that place, all these parks, you have somewhere to stay. So you can pass a night or two over there in Karunga. And then when you want to do anything over there, you know that you just have to pack up, be ready that, okay, you have a place to stay. As much as they are welcoming people over there, they are peaceful, they are loving. You know that when you go there for maybe just for 2 days or thereabouts, about, there's somewhere for you to just put your head on and then to sleep. And then it's peaceful as well. And then it's a safe place. And then it's a great place to spend a night or two. So it's actually something you should tell yourself that when even if you say, okay, you've left where you are and then you're over there in Karonga, you can just stay there for a night or two. Maybe it might not be free, it might be free, but then you know that when you stay over there, you're excited. What took you over there, you're actually going to exhibit it. You're actually going to show that you have done all those things. It's something for you to be excited about, and then tomorrow you can just say, I visited Malawi and then you went to the Karonga and then you spent a night or two over there and then you had fun. You visited all the parks and all of that. So it's something for you to say, okay, you're going to go there and then you're going to be, you're not going to be stranded. That's why I understand about it.
Yeah, of course, and we can't talk about Malawi without talking about the Lake Malawi, because it's a famous lake, the Lake Malawi National Park. And just like I said earlier, it is the ninth largest river in the world, and also the third largest in Africa. And then looking at it, has about 350 species of different fishes in that. So you can actually tell that there are lots of fishes in that lake, And then looking at the fact that for nature lovers and also for those that love history, they said one beautiful thing about that lake is the fact that the famous David Livingstone actually, was one time where, he passed on that lake. And so it's really something that, for history lovers, they want to know where was it that David Livingstone was when he was in Malawi, it's here, because the name is a very big name when it comes to the founding fathers of Christianity in Africa. We can't mention Christianity and not mention David Livingstone. So for those ones who, reckon with history, nature lovers, you want to know what it feels like to be around there, you want to see how the sun is setting and why that sun is on the flag of Malawi, then you need to take a trip to that Lake Malawi National Park, because there are really, really lots of things for you to find yourself when it comes to the beautiful water, the nature, the way the sky is, very beautiful blue sky, especially when you see the sun setting. You really, really appreciate, the beautiful lake there in, Lake Malawi National Park.
Yeah, we've been talking about all the places to visit, but then you cannot visit all these places without having food.
Because you're always hungry.
You can't visit all these places and tell me you're not going to eat. Of course, you're working and then maybe you're having fun, you're hiking, you're jumping, you're doing all this, and then there's nothing to eat. It's not going to be fun. So then when we're talking about all these things, we've visited all the places in Malawi. We have seen all their national parks. We have seen their agriculture. We have seen their economy and all of that. And then right now we're going to go to their beautiful, beautiful delicacies over there in Malawi. And then here they're saying that the cuisine of Malawi has not been influenced by many other cultures, and as a result, it has remained very traditional. Then there are many farmers in Malawi, and the population grows much of the food. The country is known for its tuck shops, small shops found in rural areas that sell a variety of snack foods. These food include meat pies, sausage rolls, bonicho, rolls that have been deep fried and stuffed with a mix of curry meat and potato mix. When you're talking about all these things, like all these chops, you know that
you're especially that potato you mentioned.
Of course, potato used to be my best. Of course, when you talk about chips, like you just want to lift up something from like, I just did something right now and I need to get there. Talking about all the food over there in Malawi, we have the chambo, which is one of the food that they have. That is a fish from Lake Malawi. Now we're talking about all the fish they have over there in the Lake Malawi, and then now this is the fish we're talking about, which is the chambo food. They say that the chambo is the tilapia fish and is considered a delicacy over there in Malawi. And they said other favorite fish include the Usipa, which is similar to sardines, and Mpasa, which is similar to salmon. So this is one of the food over there. So they cannot, even if they're doing business with the fish over there in the Lake Malawi, then that means they can actually eat it as well. So it's something that that when you find yourself over there, even if you say you want to eat, or maybe you don't love all these things, but fish, of course, there's definitely something to do with fish.
Because you really love fish a lot. Anyway, and it take us to another meal I would like, when you find yourself, the Isima food. This food is more like their national food in that country, because it's really something most Malawis don't the love they have for it, because it's actually from grounded corn, and the love they have for that meal, so they don't care to eat it for breakfast, lunch and dinner, to show how much they love their culture. And just like we said, that they didn't allow other religion to influence what they do, so they embrace their tradition very well. And that's why we could even see it from this. And then apart from the grounded corn, we have side dishes of meat and vegetables, So it's more like our swallow over here, Yeah, so it's really something. So I don't think when you find yourself there, you actually find very there'll be difficulty in eating it, because it's actually something that if you're coming from this part of the country, Africa here, we're actually used to grounded corn, vegetables, and meat. So it's really something that for those who are coming from outside the shores of Africa, it's a meal you should really try.
So you
can after testing that meal, you bring it.
Talking about all this their food, we have the kachumbari. He said it is the potato and onion salad. And then for those who don't really want heavy food, this is actually something for them to have maybe in the night, especially maybe you don't want to have something very heavy, you just want to relax, maybe you're just watching the movie, or maybe you don't want to have all the normal snacks and all of that. So you can have the kachumbari, which is the potato, the tomato, and the onion salad. So then they have different kind of things over there in Malawi. Then we have the ntochi, which is one of the food, and then I said this is bread made with bananas. Just the way I love banana
bread.
Banana bread, banana cake, anything that has to do with banana, I'm in. So then for you to say that the bread is made with banana, then that means it's actually going to be very,
That's why you love it. Anyway, our time is quite spent, but before we round up, I'd like to just talk a little about the etiquette and respect. Just like every other African country, the Malawis have high respect, but they have more respect for men than women, even though we tend to be in an era where we're trying to say there should be equality when it comes to both male and female. But just like every other African country, like respect is key. So when you find yourself in Malawi, respect for elderly people is key. Respect for family is key. So even though yes, they are friendly people, but you actually won't take people's smiles for granted. Yes, so you actually know what you expected to at a particular time, how to relate with elderly people, how to serve meals, how to behave in certain places, when a traditional function is taking place, how do you behave yourself? These are respects, and that's why anywhere you see an African person, you will know, because we are very respectful. Like
you can't take that away from us. We have that thing, like is inbuilt, so we can't just play with it. So like we've been saying, like that Malawians have respect because they are Africans. So if there's anything we need to do, we need to respect each other. We need to respect anything that has to do with us. So in case you find yourself in Malawi, try and respect each other.
Thank you so much. I'll take that as your last word for today. Well, our viewers, this is how far we can go on the show, the Midday Show live, but not to worry. You can always watch a repeat on either your Facebook or on YouTube, and you can drop your comment when we come back next week, Tuesday, God's willing, by 2 p.m. We'll read your comments and also what you feel about any country. And maybe we can actually give you, the opportunity to suggest a country you would like us to visit. Yeah, maybe we'll consider doing that sometime. On behalf of Linda and myself, we really want to appreciate our supporters and the whole of Echo Television. We're so grateful to all the Echo executives that are always here supporting us, and also to our supporters. We are very, very grateful. Also, we come your way again next week, Tuesday, 2 p.m. God bless you, but don't go anywhere, because we have lined up of other interesting programs lined up just for you. Have a blessed day ahead.